everybody. Our mission here at the Heart Coherence Collaborative.
To subscribe.
Thank you so much.
We love.
Welcome everybody to the Heart Coherence Collaborative. We're so excited. We have our new friend Jannecke joining us today. And the reason we wanted to have her on is she has an amazing YouTube channel called Wisdom of North that has a very great energy around it. So we wanted to come on today and just meet you and learn about you and your channel, and hopefully ask you some questions on how you've had this great success. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh yeah, our pleasure.
Thanks for being here. And it's actually, YouTube is Wisdom from North.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
funny
right.
because I was having trouble with we got stuck on how to pronounce your first name, and I messed it up on the first thing.
Yeah.
And so now we are so clear on the names of everything.
Yeah. So
It is funny though, because I know it's not, grammatically correct.
Right.
It actually fell down into my mind in 2012, just like that.
Oh.
Wisdom from North on my jogging tour. And I just had to accept it. I was like, this is it.
That's it.
There's no question. It's Wisdom from North.
yeah.
Yes, because in English, it's a little bit of a different use of the word structure, but then there's something kind of unique about it. Like I always think when people write poetry from English as a second language, sometimes just like that little bit of it sounding different is kind of poetic and memorable. So I like it.
Could you just start off by telling us the meaning of that name?
Yeah, well, it's all tied to a longer story. Way back when in 2012, when I didn't know what to do with my life, and all my friends, and they had these great careers, and they started having children and started marrying, and I was still lost in life and didn't know what to do. And I was a former musical theater artist, actually in Norway, and thought that was my calling in life. And I was quite the musical theater star in Norway, but my voice failed me. So I had to study something else, and I started to study to become a primary teacher. But I just felt in my bones that it was not right. And here I'm sitting, I'm 32 years old, and I'm feeling like this is not right. But what am I going to do, right? Like I can't sing anymore. I'm 32 years old. I just have to do something to survive, I was in that kind of mindset. And then I have this moment that changed my life, where I was sitting at this cafe with my father, and I told him I wasn't inspired to become a primary teacher. And he said, well, just finish the studies and then you'll see what you'll do. And I said, yes, I'm going to finish. And I had 3 more years. And then I say some words that just came to me. I say, but what I really want to do with my life is to travel around the world and interview spiritual teachers about the big questions of life.
Nice.
And in that moment, it's like all the stars just aligned and everything just clicked inside of me. And I looked at him and I said, I know what I'm going to do with my life now. And it was so strong. Like I've never in my life had such a moment again. And I'm still doing interviews, but Wisdom from North has grown to what it is today, which is so much more than the podcast. We have a membership, we have online courses, we have podcasts in Norwegian. But that same day, I went on a jogging trip. I was like, Dad, I have to leave you. And he was like, what's going on? I know what to do now. I just have to leave you. And I just took on my sneakers, and the name just poof, Wisdom from North. And I was like, okay. So then I have the name. And within a week, I landed 2 gigs, which I never did. Like I hadn't done that for many, many years. And I got $5,000. It was so specific, like $2,500 from one gig, $2,500 from another gig within 1 week. And my website cost $2,500 and my camera cost $2,500. So I got help.
Let's go.
I got help.
That's awesome.
And I got going. And, I've never asked, why is it Wisdom from North? I guess it's something about me coming from the North. I don't know. But I just surrendered. I didn't question. I was just like, now the divine is just, telling me what to do, and I'll just follow it.
So,
and here I am.
Yeah. So what was your experience or your faith level before this happened in terms of your spirituality and what connection you had that you were able to open up to this wisdom from north?
Right. Well, I've always been spiritual. I think it started with me being 11 or 12, and I picked up some books, and I was actually searching already then. I didn't understand why I was here. I had so much success from being 7 years old when I played Little Cosette in Les Miserables. Like it was just after Les Miserables had opened in London, 2 years after it came to Norway. It was a huge success. I played Little Cosette. So it was all this attention, but inside of me, something developed. Like I didn't understand who I was. I didn't understand all this attention I got, all the applause. I became the first Annie in Norway.
Oh.
And I started to develop this low self-esteem because everybody around me was like, don't think you are more than you are. Keep your feet on the ground. Because in Norway, our shadow is janteloven. And it is the opposite of America's shadow, which is, the American dream and take up room and space and you can become anything. And we're the opposite. We're
Oh.
like, nobody, don't take up too much space. Don't believe you are anything. So
Mhm.
we had the opposite, which is way too much. So I started to develop this sort of resistance and eventually hatred towards myself when I was 20. But in my teenagers, I left school, and I didn't leave school, but like in the breaks, I would just go into the woods and just cry out, like, where are you, angels? Where are you, aliens? Like, come. I want to go home. Come and catch me. And I would say that's not normal to do when you're like 12 or 13 and 14, but it just wasn't knowing that there's something more. And then I'm coming from this different place. I don't know why I thought that. I've never had any mystical experiences at that point. I just felt it and I didn't feel at home here. So that was my belief that there was something there, but I had no experiences, no mystical experiences, nothing to prove that it was true more than I believe. So fast forward to I'm like 25, 26, 27. Then I get another gig and I lose my voice. So I can't sing for a long time and I have a job and I go on a sick leave. And then I'm like, I need to figure out whether spirituality is real or if it's something I just want to believe in because it's nice. And actually, I just went full in. I went to this course where they taught me how to astral project and go out of my body and become lucid. And that was when I got my proof that, okay, now I know this is real. Like I'm not making it up, because I had some profound spiritual experiences where I was out of my body. I looked at my body and I realized, okay, so I'm not that body. So this is for real. So I had that belief, but I had to work so hard to have those mystical experiences. And after I sort of stopped practicing so intensively, like I couldn't even work, or I didn't work because I didn't have a voice at that time. But like I really had to put my mind like 100% into it. And when I stopped doing that, I stopped having mystical experiences. And I haven't had that many mystical experiences since. So I think me doing interviews on YouTube is sort of for me to connect again with where I'm really from and the divine, because I actually long for it somehow still, even though I feel much more grounded now and I'm not so concerned about, leaving my body, ascending, going out there. I'm much more happy where I'm at because now I know there's a deeper reason for me being here and doing what I do.
Yeah. One of the reasons we were really excited to interview you is because there's a big conversation that's happening right now in the spiritual community recently about dark doom and gloom messages that, podcasters are using to get a lot of views on their channel. And one of the things about your channel is it's just very pure. Like it has a very vibrant, amazing energy that's not scary, and yet you're doing really well. So the question I have for you is how did you come about like creating a brand that really just you've stuck to, that's done really well and it's authentic?
Wow, thank you for that. I really appreciate that, because that is our intention. I have a colleague and we work together on the titles and the pictures. And we really want it to be a positive message and a message of hope. And as you say, we also need to reach out and to have views, because I think what people don't know is that if you get negative numbers, like gray numbers and green numbers, then actually the channel is starting to go backwards in a way, because then YouTube stops pushing out your videos.
Mhm.
So it is that balance
Mhm.
that we want to be authentic, but still to keep the channel alive and to grow and to reach out to people, we need to have catchy titles.
Mhm.
And that is something I work with and on every single time I do an interview. And there are even some guests who have predictions that are not positive. And I'm just in the middle of it actually now,
Mhm.
because now we're at the end of 2024 and I've had some videos coming out about predictions and they're not also positive,
Mhm.
Yeah.
especially about, the president, predictions about him. And I've been unsure, should we go there? Should we not? I don't want to be political. And still, I want to be authentic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't want to censor things and be all like, oh, positive thinking,
Yeah, yeah.
positive thinking, because I know there's a darkness there.
Mm,
Now, I remember many years ago, I was contemplating on going down that path of investigating the darkness. And I started doing it a little bit, and I started losing myself more and more.
Mhm.
And I came to the conclusion that, okay, this is not going to help me. I feel physically I'm being drained. I get more fearful. I am sensitive from before. So this is not doing any good. So I actually came to a point where I acknowledge that there's a darkness there, but I don't want to give it energy.
mm,
Now, in my teaching, like in my membership, and I have my own online course in Norwegian, I speak about that we need both. Like, we need to look into our shadows. At the same time, we need to have an intention for our future, visualize positive thinking, raise our vibration. But we also need to look into the darkness and acknowledge, okay, I feel sad, I feel jealous, I feel irritated. So these processes go together. And I guess I'm saying that because that is the balance I'm constantly trying to
Mhm.
find.
yeah.
Mhm.
And it's nice that you say that I do succeed sometimes. Yeah.
No, you're doing really well, and we have a similar challenge. We have,
Mm.
you see all these titles that are so like clickbaity, and some of them are doom and gloom, and then they do so well, and it's just like you want to stay honest, you don't want to scare people. And the real thing that we've been focusing on is just where we focus our attention is going to expand, not just individually, but collectively. And so we're trying to create messages that really can spread positively so that we can, all welcome in a better future.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we constantly work with it and we change thumbnails all the time. And sometimes it is, positive messages that really do well as well. So
Yeah.
it's not just fear that is, selling. I think it's also hope, and it's more that surprise, oh, this was new. That was a new twist. So it's about being creative too. And that's not always easy when you're loaded with work.
Right. Right.
No, we always laugh when we're creating. I mean, the real sense that you're trying to create is whatever it is it's like urgency or something exciting, whether it's good or bad, but it is a balance. Because, it's also not genuine to just every single thing is positive. I mean,
Right.
that would be
Mm.
weird if no one
Yeah.
ever said, I mean, some bad things are happening sometimes. I think you can tell the difference. But I would
I
like to hear
just
you.
want to comment
Yeah.
something, because there was someone saying on my YouTube channel that, why do you have these sensational titles?
Mm,
And I was thinking, then I replied to her, because my videos are sensational.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty crazy stuff we're
right.
talking
Like
about.
what my guests are talking
'Cause
about,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's wild. And sometimes I can't even get across how wild it is in my
Right.
title. So
So true.
That is so well said because, and I have more questions about that. Um, Actually, you know what? The thing I really wanted to talk about, you mentioned investigating the darkness, and I wonder what that exactly meant for you. Did you mean interviewing people or self-exploration? How did you investigate the darkness?
it was actually self-exploration at a point. Like I was single, I was doing these interviews. It has been so many years with me doing interviews. And in the beginning, I didn't have a lot of views. It was only like the past year that my channel has really started to grow because it was more like putting out a video here and there. And I didn't have sort of like a goal with it all or put so much energy into it. So it was more like I was interviewing and then I was working on the side and studied on my own. And I think it was the UFO uh, area where you find a lot of darkness. Abductions,
Oh
people
yeah.
disappearing. I don't know why it is like every time you watch like a UFO documentary, it's so dark and it's like very, I don't know, it feels like a bit like brutal and I just came over videos that scared me,
Mhm.
what had happened to people and also evil, like going down into what is evil and demons and all of that. And you can attract those things. Like I've been out of my body and been lucid and I attracted sometimes these negative beings, and that was not nice. It was
Mhm.
very frightening. And I found out that the more I focus on that, I will attract it instead of having a shield of light and focusing on that. And that's something I've learned from my guests that, when you really are standing in your light and your love, you can't really be touched by these negative entities. The more you are in a low vibration, perhaps you can be sick, you can do drugs, then you're more sort of open to these energies to just come over. So I became more aware of that. Like, where am I putting my focus? And when I become drained, then I'm more of a target for these energies. So I'm pretty sure everything exists,
Mhm.
and because I'm just going to do an interview today with a guy that had a near-death experience and he saw all opportunities and that everything that you can imagine existing exists. And that is a frightening thought for me. I'm very sensitive. I can get nightmares. Like I just found that no, I can't go on doing this because it will not help me.
Yeah.
When you first started talking, I was laughing because I said, how did you investigate the darkness? And you didn't end up finishing it, but you started out by saying that you were single. So I thought you were going to say maybe like dating, but then that didn't go anywhere. But I thought that when you began, how did you investigate the darkness? Well, I was dating,
Man.
I was single, and then I decided to stop
My
investigating.
point was I had so much time, like
Time.
in the
Yeah,
evenings, and I
yeah,
sat and binged these videos.
that makes sense. Yes.
So at this point, you've done over 500 interviews. I'd love to hear who were your favorite interviews with, and what were some of the most important messages that have just stuck with you?
Oh, that's always such a hard
Mhm.
question. It's always like the latest interview that is on my mind, and but I very much appreciated Christian Sundberg.
Hmm.
He had a well, in the interview we spoke about his pre-birth memories. He remembered his life or existence before this life, and he also had such an amazing book that was written in a way that just totally resonated with me. It gave me answers that I didn't even know I had questions for, and just how he explained the whole process of us coming into the womb and the baby and the density and from being this loving light energy and how we choose our parents and soul themes and in like the soul contracts was really specific to me, and he was so sweet and grounded, and I just loved his energy. I loved him as a person, and I opened up a bit and spoke about my former depression and said that sometimes I can struggle still with
Mhm.
some drops, like I can just become heavy. And then he said, well, that is something you have decided on from beforehand. You've taken on those struggles in order to grow, like you really want to grow more as a soul. And that is sort of one of the themes that you have in your life. That you are very brave to have taken on. And when he said that, that was really healing to me, because there has been a voice in the back of my mind that has said, you know, you're doing all these interviews. Shouldn't you be happy all the time? Like, ish. And I
Mhm.
know that's my ego having sort of a goal for me that, oh, you should have come so far in your spiritual development. But he just acknowledged that, you know, there's a deeper reason for you having a psyche that is a bit up and down, and that is for you to learn, and it's part of you. It's part of your curriculum. So yeah, that was an interview that just made such an impression.
One thing I want to ask following up, and this is kind of like bold to be saying, but we've interviewed lots of spiritual leaders at this point. And one thing that I feel like I'm observing is that everyone's their own form of batshit crazy, just a little bit. Like, I don't think anyone just like, I just, for anyone listening, like, I feel like we can put people on pedestals sometimes. And from all the interviews we've done, most of these people, they're very unique, but they also have their flaws and they're just like us. That's what I've found personally. I don't know if you can relate.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Like I put everybody on pedestals and Teal Swan and Greg Braden. And then I was like, oh. And then I had a realization that, my goodness, I mean, this comparison, this
Mm.
is not healthy. Like I could look at Teal Swan and be inspired, or Byron Katie, that I interviewed many years ago when I had these
Oh,
thoughts, or I don't know, Lorna Byrne. Like I could really look up to them. But then I realized, like, what does that do to me? Like I can either be inspired by their confidence to come out to do their work and let that inspire me and see that I have some of the same inside of me. Because when I believe when you look at someone, you are somehow triggered in a positive way or a negative way. There's something that is reflecting within you. So I actually stopped putting people on pedestals, and I realized that, okay, so they just have another experience as a human being than I have. It's not better, it's just another experience. And then I started to look at, great leaders like the Queen of Norway. She's not better than me. She just have an experience as being the Queen of Norway. I have the experience of being Jannecke. You can't say that that is better than the other. And that gave me the courage to like reach out to our former prime minister in Norway, to interview him, to interview spiritual teachers. And with that approach, I think I did better interviews. And trust me, like I feel like I've interviewed so many people throughout 12 years now. They're so human. They're so human. I mean, even Neil Donald Walsh said, when I asked him, are you walking the talk? He said, that's my biggest like sorrow in life, that I haven't been able to do that. I'm so full of flaws, and I just teach what I need to know. And that just hit home with me. And I've thought and said that ever since. Well, I'm just teaching what I'm teaching. I'm teaching what I need to know, what
Yes.
I need to learn.
Yeah.
So we're all students for each other, I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah.
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 That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Just no,
You have a
just to
follow up.
follow up. Keep following up. But yeah, just the one thing that I really resonate with what you were just saying is that it's almost like in a way we get to let what we need in life be what teaches other people, because at least this is for us. Like if we have a certain struggle that we're going through, we'll reach out to somebody that might be an expert in that field. And then as a result of that, everyone gets to learn from that, you know, which is, it's kind of a cool position for us to be in.
That is beautiful. That
Yeah.
is so authentic and lovely. I love that.
Yeah. We got
Yeah.
some struggles, but we're doing well, you know. It's cool. Everybody, you know, has stuff that they need to work on, and it's unique to be able to do it openly. But yeah, it's how people can benefit, I think.
I mean,
Yeah.
even though you have psychic abilities and you can channel and have had NDEs, it doesn't mean that you're not a human and have tons to work on.
Right.
Like we all do. So I think there are very few people who are like fully awakened. And what is that anyway? Like I remember I interviewed one lady who said she was enlightened. And I've had just a few people who've said that. And to me, like awakened is different than enlightened. I feel like enlightened is sort of like what Buddha was and
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah,
like on a
yeah.
really high level. But I didn't feel she was enlightened. Like I didn't have that feeling. She was very like concerned about the interview and the audience and the
We're going
commercials
through
and
this right now.
That's exactly.
I'm going through this right now. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm like,
I heard somebody say one time, like, if somebody tells you that they're the Buddha, you should run or something like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I agree. I think that to me it resonates with a certain humbleness
Mm.
to a spiritual teacher. I think that's important. And I have my own membership where I pick out different teachers, and I always pick out those who are humble and in their hearts, not, there are many spiritual teachers who have powers, but they may have big egos.
Mm.
And that doesn't mean that they're not great at manifesting and stuff like that, but maybe their teaching is not fully coming from uh, the heart, or at least resonates with what I feel is the teaching I want to bring forward. And I don't know, there's not a right thing or a wrong thing, but there are perspectives. And I like to have people on my channel that resonates with me. And sometimes, of course, there have been cases where I'm like, "Ooh, I don't know if I want to put this out," throughout the years. And sometimes I've actually said this is not resonating with me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have a thing when you interview people where you need to directly believe in what they're saying? Or because you talk to people about a lot of wild stuff. So do you believe in everything everybody's talking about? Or is a fair amount of it you just willing to explore?
Yes, I'm willing to explore. And it's been many, many years since I did not, accept someone. And I think it had to do with, I just remember one person that uh, wasn't giving the right energy in a way. I just felt that it was a bit negative and dark and like not communicating well. It just didn't work well. And he said he had a bad day and stuff like that. So we'll see one day if we'll do it again. But yeah, there was a recent interview where I did with a psychic that said something that I felt, okay, I don't want to opt into that idea. Like in my mindset and uh, perspective on reality and the future, I don't want to give that energy, but she might be right, so I didn't take it out because she might be right. I don't know.
Right.
So I do sometimes think that I'm not sure about that myself in my own belief. So yeah, definitely. But sometimes I think that there have been people that say they channel, for instance, and then they channel, and I feel like nothing is really coming forward.
Yeah.
Like that the teaching is just something I could have said to you right now, like just follow your heart and it will be okay. Like
Yeah.
if it's at that level, I'm like, this is not deep enough.
Right.
I need something deeper. Come back to me when you have channel for 5 years.
Right.
So that is something that I do, that is important to me, that I feel like there's a depth in the teaching, that they are experienced, that they haven't just started, because I respect my audience, and I don't want to feel like, I could have just done this myself or figured out this myself. Like it needs to be a higher intelligence and a higher knowledge that comes through. Otherwise, I don't feel like there's much value in the episode, and I really want to give a lot of value. So I think that's my most important thing. I want to give value. I want it to be interesting. I want people to grow and expand their consciousness. And if I don't feel like that's happening, then I might, say, come back in a few years.
Yeah.
Do a follow up. I think it's really cool that we're getting to like talk about the inside of spiritual podcasts, kind of giving people what it's really like. And it's awesome that you resonate and relate to a lot of the things that we're experiencing, because we've had those moments where we're like, is this person channeling or are they just like speaking to
I
us
think
right
they're
now?
just talking.
Yeah. And so
Right.
that's cool. One thing that I would love to just hear you talk about is kind of how it evolved into like a business where you now have all these courses and all these things. Because that's always
Yeah.
something that people listening can learn from.
Yeah, well, that has been a journey.
Yeah.
A journey for sure. Like, I haven't just learned about spirituality and myself and grown and all that. I've also learned about business. And I had to in order to make a business out of this. And that took me a long time because I had such limited beliefs about money. And I came from the mindset that I'm a starving actor and it's, something beautiful with starving and being an artist, and I just want to give and give. I was very like that. Shouldn't take any money from people, and I didn't even dare to send out a newsletter. I didn't want to be too much and all that. And that completely changed when I realized that, well, I'm not serving and helping people if I'm holding back. And if I can't even give myself abundance, how can I give other people abundance and teach about abundance? So I went to a course actually with T. Harv Eker. You probably know who he is, like a
Sounds familiar.
millionaire mind.
Oh yeah. I think we do. I have heard that name.
What is it?
T. Ecker?
Oh, no, I don't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came to Norway and he has a book, A Millionaire Mind. And that was an intense workshop, like
Wow.
really intense, where they scrutinized to our beliefs and like they were really like a bit tough on us. It was like from 8 a.m. to 11 in the evening, I think, like a whole weekend. So we were just really set into this perspective of like, you have to change your mindset about money. And even though it was a bit too much for me, like I got what he was saying, that spirituality and money, they go together. He didn't come, like it was his the people who worked under him. But his main message was that spirituality and money go together. And when that clicked within me, that next weekend, I was about to launch my very first membership, and I needed to have 25 members in order to, yeah, it was some tax thing in Norway. I needed to reach a certain amount of money and people in order to have VAT, be registered VAT. For VAT. And then I applied everything I had learned, and I actually got, it's magical, 25 people, and I just got over the limit and I could start my business. It was just so magical. And at the beginning, I think when I was selling, I was a bit like aggressive because I had learned that, oh, you're too humble. You need to go for it and go for it. And then I had a girlfriend who loves me, and she was like, maybe you need to calm down that tiger a bit. And I was like, okay, I get you. And then I started to find that balance where I was not selling, but I was showing what is possible with what I can offer, and that it is an opportunity. And people started to become attracted to my membership. And from there on, it was just, I don't know, I've been led by the divine, I feel like, because I'm not a businesswoman at all. I've been like a musical theater artist. Don't know anything about this, but the opportunities came to me. Like, I was sitting one day in 2017, I think, and I was contemplating on, like, I don't want to work at this law office pouring coffee to lawyers anymore. That's what I did. I want to do this full time, but I don't know. Like, I'm not having good enough views on YouTube. Like, what am I going to do? And then I sat and I browsed and I saw Mind Valley. And then it just came to me like, oh my gosh, you can create your own Mind Valley in Norway
Mm.
because you know so many spiritual teachers. This is what you're good at, finding good teachers. You know, you have a good nose for empowering teachers and not empowering teachers. Like I know about that and I know them. So it just all came together in my head. And that's where the membership idea came. And we've been doing this for 6 years now. And then out of that, it was like a teacher who said, why don't you make a bigger course with me and we can split the revenue? And I was like, why don't we do that? And then I started making courses with more and more teachers. And now I'm coming out with my own course. So it has just developed and developed and developed. And I still don't know what the heck I'm doing, to be honest. I don't know. I'm just following like the next and the next and the next step. And I trust something.
Yes, I love that.
I would love to hear you talk about, you touched on it a little bit, that maybe you were going pretty hard when you were first starting in terms of selling. How do you feel about like being a woman in business and keeping your feminine energy in that space? Or maybe you think that that's BS and you don't really care about feminine and masculine stuff. But I think I see you as like a very just feminine, pretty woman, but you've done so much and accomplished so much. I'd love to hear how you balance all of that.
Oh, yeah. That is a topic I'm very into, actually, and find interesting because I think I've been a bit masculine sometimes. And I've actually gone to courses. I think there was like this feminine power course with Claire Day, what's her name? Catherine Woodward Thomas. And
Oh, yeah.
I love those courses because I really saw that that the feminine power is powerful and I can tap more into that. And I don't have to try to be a man. And I think, especially in Scandinavia, a
Mm.
lot of women are subconsciously trying to be
Yes.
a man. And I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be a full blown woman and for my man as well, my boyfriend. So I think after my girlfriend said that, that was an aha and a feedback that I took to heart. And I took also some courses. Like I've gone to Carrie Green is one of my coaches. She's British. She has a huge membership, Female Entrepreneur Association. And I just love her approach. She's my kind of gal. I'm in her membership. I've learned so much. I've had these coaches, these female coaches who are bold, but still, they have that softness. And they're like, if you have the remedy to someone's problem, that you can solve their problem, you wouldn't hold it to yourself. Like you would say that, hey, I have this opportunity. This might help you. Do you want to try?
Mhm.
And the more I came from a place of selling with love, that I also learned from Jason Campbell, actually, in Mind Valley. He's a wonderful teacher that focuses on selling with love. When that was integrated with me, that I could sell with love and passion and excitement, and knowing that, hey, I have this membership that might change things for you. Come and check it out. If it's not for you, you can go out again. No risk, right?
Mhm.
Then it was like, yeah, then it felt fun and exciting with actually being able to offer something more, because I don't feel like people are changing their lives in my interviews, but the feedback from our online courses and membership is like, this has changed my life, because then we go deeper. And I know that the teachers I picked, like they go really deep with the members. So I really also have confidence in my product. It sounds so business-like, but I'm confident in what I'm actually offering. And I think that is important, that you need to be like really excited about what you're offering and confident about it. And Jason Campbell is even saying like everything in life is a sale. And the biggest sale of them all, do you know what that is?
Selling yourself.
Will you marry me?
Marriage, I was
Oh.
gonna say, but I was gonna say
Yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah.
that is,
Wow. I
you want to
actually
buy me
know.
for the rest of your life.
I know Jason.
Right.
He's a good guy. I would love to I would just love to hear your opinion on, do you have any advice for Leah and I as we're just setting sail on this journey?
Sorry, what was the question?
Do you have any advice for Leah and I as we're just kind of starting our spiritual podcast? Like we're just setting sail. Do you have any advice for us?
Oh, for the podcasts. Oh, okay. Well, I want to be honest and say, because it's important to me, like Alex Ferrari really helped me.
Yeah.
He is the podcast host of Next Level Soul.
Yeah.
And I'm mentioning him a lot because I think he's the reason that my channel turned around, and I want to, give him that to share that. Um, he told me a few things about YouTube, like you need to be consistent with your videos because of the algorithm and the sort of the ecosystem on YouTube. So your YouTube will share your videos. Also, the thumbnails like have a brand that is powerful. The keywords in the title, of course, and also do not, have too many topics. I had Wisdom from North was relationships and health and healing and starseed. It was too many topics, so I started to hone in on a few, and then you can go broaden out after that. So I think that was like the most important thing, that be consistent,
Yeah.
like either once a week on the same day, or twice a week, or 3 times a week. And he said it will be take longer if you are doing it like once a week, but it can be done, I remember he said. And be patient, like it might take 3 months before something happens with your channel. So be consistent, be consistent. And then there was a few more details. Like he looked at my channel and he said, "Oh my goodness, Jannecke, you have horrible thumbnails." Horrible. And I was like, "Yeah, I see that." So, so we spent 3 months changing 450 thumbnails or something like that.
Wow.
Whoa.
So yeah, it did take some dedication and time. But I don't know, like advice from me, I would say, be authentic in that way, that interview people who you really want to interview.
Yeah.
I think it's something about the energy.
Mm.
Like if you're not so excited about those you're going to interview, it will, shine through. And I think it's something about like creating your own universe with the people you resonate with, or you don't have to resonate with, but be excited about having them on in a way, because it's all about that energy. I think you put into it, and that the channel has, and that will radiate out to people. So yeah, I'm constantly checking in when people write to me like, am I excited about interviewing this person? If I don't feel that, yeah, then I know I'm not going to do a good interview.
Yeah.
So because I'm a former actress, but it's still going to be,
You're going to be able to tell.
not authentic.
Great advice.
My last question is, people sometimes, everyone knows it's great to get a mentor, and you got this great mentor that helped you so much. How did that happen? Did you write to him? Did you pay him? How does that end up being help that you get?
Hmm. Yeah, I think he gets a lot of emails. Like,
I'm sure it's a lot.
Well, it was 2 years ago. I think I reached out to him, and I think that's divinely planned as well. So that's how I feel guided. I just felt a bit depressed because my channel didn't go so well, and it went well with my courses and all that in Norway, but I still felt, but it all started with my baby on YouTube. And then I saw one of his interviews and I was like, oh gosh, I used to be doing that. Who is this guy? And then I was like, okay, what if I'm bold and I just write to him and I ask him to interview me, and I can interview him?
Oh,
So I was like, I don't have nothing to lose. And he said, yeah, let's do this. And then when we met, we just connected, and he had just so much time. And he said, I geek out about this. So let me take a look at your channel. And we didn't have much time, but I think what he said, I just really applied right away.
yes.
And I started to study him, and I started to study other podcasts and saw what they did and what I didn't do.
Mhm.
So it wasn't like and I asked him, can I pay you? And he said, no, I don't have time. Sorry, I can't. No, this is what I'm giving you, and I don't have time, but see what you can do with what I gave you. So he just, offered free help basically. So I think, look at other podcasts, see what they're doing.
We really just appreciated this interview and all that amazing advice.
Mhm.
And we want to wish you the best of luck with your channel because you have a great energy. And anybody listening, please go follow
Wisdom from
our new
North.
friend. Yeah. And lastly, how can our supporters support you?
Oh, well, thank you. I just want to say thank you for inviting me here. And I'm really excited about your work. And I hope what I shared today was also helpful for those out there who want to start their own podcast, start their own business. And that there has been a long journey for me, but it doesn't have to be so long for you. Like if you feel the urge to do this, you're meant to be doing it, because I feel like it's all about the joy. It's really about your heart speaking to you. And we don't have enough podcasts. Like there's always room for more. And nobody could be like you. You are unique. So go for your dreams and do it. And just be consistent. Do not give up. Do not give up. How people can support me, I don't know. Like go to my channel and check it out. Wisdom from North. I'm on podcast. We have a membership, wisdomfromnorth.com/membership. Just check out my channel and you'll get to know me better, and just leave me some comments and say hello.
Awesome.
Yeah, this was so great. It was there's so many people who want to do this. And I think it was such a great instruction manual. I think I heard you talking about being bold. I think the problem for most people is they get an idea and they don't take action. So to just keep taking action, see what the next thing leads you to, and don't get stuck in the planning phase. Because I think most people, it's just never ending planning on how they're going to do the perfect thing or perfect channel. And then they never do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so important. Just start
Just
with
do
your
it.
first video. Your first video is always going to be
It's
horrible.
terrible. Just do it.
Horrible.
Yeah. So yeah, being bold,
And be
getting help.
authentic and follow your heart is what I heard too.
Yeah. So thank you so much for wisdom from
Yeah,
North.
so
Thank
much
you.
wisdom, so much wisdom.
Wisdom and from the North.
Thank you. And all
It
the
was-
best with your wonderful work.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
it was so
much.
nice to meet you. And we're sending love to everybody.
Bye, everybody.